Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? It's getting to be fall time and a lot of people are all about everything pumpkin. I'm not. I am about everything that has lovely smells though. So tonight we're going to start a batch of ginger crinkles going. It's one of my favorite cookies. It's easy to make. They do have to be made ahead of time. They have to have some refrigerator time. About 30 minutes minimum. A little bit longer actually is even a little bit better. It is a cookie that has all kinds of spices in it. So we do have some allergies at my son's school, so this is not a cookie I can make to send there because they do have cinnamon in it. Believe it or not, that's a fairly common, well, I shouldn't say common, but it is an allergy. Cinnamon is definitely alive and kicking out there. So I'm going to use my handy dandy KitchenAid mixer, and this is the beater that I'm going to be using tonight. I can get it on, maybe. There we go. Alrighty. So our recipe calls for shortening, and I think I have stated before in a previous video or two, I don't really do shortening so much. I use lard. I use lard and butter a lot. Something I grew up with and I'm just comfortable with it all. So that is what I use. I want to make sure I have things adjusted a little bit better here tonight so you guys can see better, and I'm not sure how well we're doing at all this. So this is still some of the soupiest lard I have ever seen in my life when it has not been sitting in hot sun. Lard is usually pretty firm. I'll show you in a minute how soupy this is. And I really thought I had gotten it out last time and thought it was maybe because it was pretty warm, but that has certainly not been the case today. It's not super cold out, but certainly cool enough we shouldn't have it this liquidy. I guess on the upside is it will mix pretty easily. Alright, so I have lard all over our measuring cup. I have decided I must like to clean because I'm forever making messes in my kitchen. I am so thankful on a regular basis for our hot and cold running water and the fact I don't have to haul it 5 miles to get it from point A to point B. So normally lard is pretty much the consistency of shortening, but this is definitely like it's almost kind of pre-melted some and has not set up since the last time I used it at all. So I honestly don't know what's causing that, but the last batch of cookies I made with it turned out just fine. They are now gone. Everyone who ate them is still alive, so I'm not a bit concerned about anything being wrong with it. I just honestly don't know the cause of it. So I can't even tell you how to prevent that. Okay, this is what happens when we're not really prepared for the day like I should be. There is no way I have a cup of brown sugar in here. So now I have to go to my big pantry and get another bag, and I'll be right back. Okay, back again. Now that we've topped off the brown sugar. So we need a cup of brown sugar in here. And I don't mind if it goes in clumpy because I'm going to pack it down anyhow. So it will all be good. And unless there's something that you're making that's really special, it doesn't really matter in my world if I have dark or light brown sugar. In this particular case, it's the light. But I don't think for most recipes it really even matters what kind it is. And we're going to go ahead and mix this all together. I really had anything clumpy in there that was not soft enough to break down, but it sure sounded like it, so figured I'd throw it in there for just a little extra minute or so. Okay, so this is what our dough looks like right now, and yeah, I just popped. I found another little piece of brown sugar over there, so mix that in. Okay, so it's very liquidy right now. Okay, so now we're going to add in our seasonings and spices and all the yummy things. So we have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then we have got a 1/2 teaspoon of cloves. I tend to go just a little heavy on the cloves just because I really like cloves and I think they are delicious in these cookies. And before I contaminate anything much, I'm going to do my 2 teaspoons of baking soda. I shouldn't say contaminate, but 2. I really don't like any of the spices or seasonings that I'm using to get into my baking soda. I like to keep that as clean as I possibly can, because it is used for both baking and cooking. So, well, mostly baking, I guess, but since our soda collects scents and things from other places, it's just good to have everything pretty clean. All right, so a teaspoon of ginger. I drop things everywhere. And a healthy teaspoon of cinnamon. Just a little tad extra. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and mix this all up. Ugh. I don't know if any of you know the trick or not, but if you just want your house to feel a little special and just give a little yummy deliciousness in the air without the caustic fragrance perfumes that a lot of candles and all of the smell pretties that are out there, because although they do smell really good, they have a lot of perfumes and a lot of stuff in them that can make us just not feel so great and have some asthma problems, etc. You can take some cinnamon and just put it on a baking sheet and put it in the oven for a few minutes and let it go, and it will drift throughout your house and just make it smell yum. So just a little trick. If that's something that you enjoy as well as I do. I like having my house smell good, and I like those wintry, yummy smells. And I am on a roll tonight, but that's okay. I'm gonna do it this way here. So I have one of my not organic free-range chicken eggs. I do have one of my fresh from the local person eggs that I am going to crack into my measuring cup because I forgot to get a little bowl out, just to make sure it's still alive, kicking and good, and it is. Came out beautifully, just like a good healthy egg would be. That mixing, and then we need a cup of molasses. It doesn't matter to me what kind you use. This is what I could find at the store. I've used several other brands over the years, and I don't really have a particular fondness for one versus the other. This smells delicious too. So if you were not aware of it, I will share with you now that molasses has got lots of yummy vitamins in it. So when I was little, my mom used to make us Tigger's milk. And Tigger's milk was a little bit of warm milk with some molasses stirred in and a little bit of brewer's yeast. So between the two, it was really just a lovely thing. And brewer's yeast also is a really good thing if you happen to be a nursing mom and are maybe not producing quite as much milk as you would like to or need to. You can also have some of this and it will help you with milk production. They also say you can drink a beer or two maybe a day, and that will also help. The only key to that is it must honestly be the good old unpasteurized beer. It can't be like a Coors or a Budweiser or something like this. It has to be the real old-fashioned kind that really has the yeast still in it. This particular batch of cookie dough that I'm making, I normally don't add extra flour to it because as long as you don't overbake the cookie, you can have it be pretty soft. Now, if you would like them more hard and crunchy, like a ginger snap, just add a little baking time to this and that will definitely give you that more crunchy, snappy thing. So if you have not been with me before, my handy dandy little sifter cup is also a lovely measuring cup. Measures 2 cups. And this calls for 2 1/4 cup of flour, and you gotta watch for holes in your flour like I just got in this measuring cup. Because if you have holes in whatever you're trying to use to measure, then your measurements are off and you're not going to have the right amount of ingredient that you need. Okay. Well, I almost made it tonight without making a mess. There is a reason to always have clean counters and clean hands for sure. And here is my 1/4 cup. This is not a super hard cookie dough to make, so if you wanted to do it by hand and not use your mixer, you sure could. Sorry. Interrupted by a child I sent to the store, so it is kind of handy having those kind available when you need some stuff and don't want to run yourself. So, as I was saying, I think this is a pretty easy cookie dough to mix up. So if you wanted to do it by hand and not use a mixer, you sure could. And then, oof, as I throw it on the floor. Just again, make sure that you're scraping your bottom. If you're using the mixer method, scrape your bottom and scrape your sides to make sure you're getting all of your ingredients mixed in really well and real balanced. Just about there, and boy am I on a roll tonight. It's okay, Mom likes to clean the kitchen. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer it over to this handy dandy little plastic Tupperware with a lid. But this is our dough right now, and it's fairly firm, but it gets soft, really super soft, real quick like. And so one of the advantages to putting it in the fridge for that minimum of 30 minutes is that then your dough will stay much more solid, because what we're going to do is we're going to roll this into little balls and roll it into sugar before we bake it. So it will hold its shape and it will stay better than if you just try to do it right now. If we just left this out and started in right now, they would be so soft by the time we got halfway through this batch. It would not be a lot of fun. So minimum in the fridge of 30 minutes. I'll pop the recipe in the link below, or in the comments below. And we will be back later. Like I said, minimum of 30 minutes. Could be 2 or 3 days and they're still going to be fine in the fridge. So we'll be back later and bake them up and see how we did. Okay, it has been 30 plus minutes. So we're coming back here to get our ginger crinkle cookies in the oven. The oven's already heated to 375. Recipe calls for a cup of sugar, but I just dumped some in the bowl, and if I need more, I'll get it, not a big deal. And I have my cup of water, because we're going to need that too. And the advantage to only doing 30 minutes is that our cookie dough is not nearly as stiff and hard to work with as sometimes it can be. So I just usually break off a little bit, roll it in my hands till I have a ball. And then I usually put 3, 4, 5 in here. Again, if you are a perfectionist, somebody who is very detail oriented, and you want your cookies to be exactly the same size, please feel free to use a little melon baller to get the right amount of dough out, and then make them into your balls, however it works for you. So I'm just throwing these in my sugar. I'm going to roll them around until they are all completely covered in sugar. And I will put them on their assigned spots that have been assigned over the years of making cookies. It's not truly why I love these pans so much because they have assigned seating. It's just the memory, and just they've always been great pans. I don't know honestly if Mom and Dad got them for their wedding or where they came from. I don't think I ever thought to even ask that. I don't know if you guys have favorite cookies that you like to make, ones that stay in the front of the recipe box versus all the others. There's lots of cookie recipes in the recipe box, but it seems like the same 4 or 5 make their way consistently out of the box and onto the cookie sheets in our family. And I will say, the 1 or 2 times he's done it, my son makes way better chocolate chip cookies than I do by a long shot. He actually makes better muffins than I do too. We'll make muffins one of these days too for breakfast. Probably make them the night before because my days start at 6 a.m. for work, 4:45 with my alarm going off, so we'll probably make them the night before. Unless we happen to do it on a Saturday morning when it's not quite so crazy getting out the door for work. I know they're always better fresher right out of the oven and still warm, but it doesn't happen in our world very often anymore. Even Saturdays seem to be pretty busy these days. When he was little, Saturdays were our day to stay home and just chillax, and I really kind of liked that a lot. Maybe we'll get back to it one day. We'll see. We are gonna pop these cookies in the oven at 375 for in between 10 to 12 minutes. And because you can always cook them more, but you cannot uncook them, I am going to definitely start at 10 minutes and work my way up. So now we have our cookies on our cookie sheet. My cup is pretty full, and if you get too much, if you get too little, if it goes on the side of the cookie and not on the cookie, just redip so that you can get some drops of water on the cookies. But it says 1 to 2 drops of water on the cookies. And sometimes I get 3 or 4, and I promise they come out just fine. Just adds a little, I don't know why the water, actually, I think it kind of makes the sugar crinkle a little bit. And I think it adds a little bit of moisture to that cookie. And I promise, my hands were all nice and clean when we started this process. In the oven it goes. Setting my timer for 10 minutes. And I'll see y'all in a bit. Okay, here is our batch of cookies. Oh, I'm going. So I can keep the show on the road, as they say. This is our batch of cookies at 10 minutes. And when I tested the one, it fell just a tiny bit, but not much. And so now I'm going to leave these on the cookie sheet for about 1 more minute. This is pretty puffy. And as you can see, it's already not giving way. That is plenty well cooked. I'm going to leave it on here just like for 1 more minute, just to kind of cool down a little bit, finish whatever baking may need to be done, and then I'm going to peel it right off. And it should remain, hopefully, soft. That's how we prefer the cookies. Now, if you like them to be more like a ginger snap and be harder, then go ahead and put them in for the 12 minutes and let them cook more. And then you're going to get more of a crunchy, snappy texture and feel to them. Okay, so one caveat to these cookies: if you get too much water, instead of just like the 1 or 2 drops, like this one got several drops, and it actually stuck to the bottom of my pan. So now I'm going to have to be doing a little bit of scraping to get this off. Between the sugar and the water, it stuck pretty good. But I'll scrape it off and put more cookies on the cookie sheet and keep on a trucking. Okay, finished product. Cooled down enough to not burn my mouth now. Nice and soft and chewy. Hope you like them.